Welcome back to another video by Motel Coach. Today we're back with GuestPoint PMS and we're in the Management tab and we're looking at dynamic rates and online inventory. The dynamic rates window gives you access to a bit of an overview of your rates. And within that same window, we can check whether we've got a minimum night stay restriction. We can see if the Revenue Maximizer has been activated and what effect it's having. And we can see if close to departure or close to arrival options have been activated. There's a really helpful window here, the legend, which will explain exactly what's going on this page. You can update individual rates. So for the bike ride team on the 20th of October, I'm going to raise the rate up to 185. And I can see Friday the 24th of October sitting a bit higher in occupancy. I might raise that one up to 190 for the bike ride team. Alternatively, if you're doing multiple rate adjustments, you can click on bulk rate update. Here we can select the date, so 20th of October until Friday the 24th of October, and I'm going to select the rates. I want to update the king room type and the queen room. You can also select just the days of the week over a certain time span. We're then going to set the rate. So now I've got the option. I can increase my nightly rate by a dollar amount. I can decrease my nightly rate by a dollar amount. I can do the same by a percentage, either up or down. I can just set a nightly rate, or I can reset the rate to standard. If you've been making a lot of changes in your property management system and you're a bit all over the place, you might just select reset rate to standard and apply changes and just bring everything back to square. At a time, we're going to untick Revenue Maximizer and close to departure, close to arrival options. And we can see here, so if we start at bike ride team, we've got a 2-night minimum stay for all bookings over the next 7 days for this rate. So if we're really quiet on the day of arrival and we notice we've got a stay restriction, we might choose to remove that one. So instead of 2 nights, we now take that down to a 1-night minimum. Often with a rate restriction, you might have a promotion connected to it or a reduced price room rate. So you can see here the midweek special with the 2-night minimum. We might have it at 2 nights, but the rate might be 170 versus the standard queen room rate of 180 for 1 night minimum. One important aspect of setting restrictions like a 2-night minimum is that if you set it and then don't closely monitor it, you might be turning away bookings, or you might put restrictions in place that are too strong. For example, on a Saturday night, we've put a 2-night stay minimum because we're really trying to push guests to book Sunday night as well. But unfortunately, there's just zero demand for Sunday. And in the process of setting the 2-night minimum for Saturday, we've turned away a lot of guests. And in the end, although we've tried to increase our occupancy on the quiet Sunday, in the end, we've reduced our occupancy on a night which was, in fact, fairly certain to be a sellout. So you really always need to be balancing how you set your room rates and restrictions and continually reevaluate after you've set a restriction. How has that played out? If you set a 3-night minimum for an event and you only get to 80% and you notice your competitors are fully sold out, you need to evaluate, has my 3-night minimum pushed more occupancy onto my other nights to offset the loss in occupancy on the event night? Or have I just lost income from the restriction being too strong? Let's move to the next 7 days. We've now unticked minimum nights and we're going to select Revenue Maximizer. Revenue Maximizer adjusts our rates based on our own input criteria. So if we go Management and we go Revenue Maximizer, we can see here that we can select a rate type and then we can apply the Revenue Maximizer. So we've got all room rates selected, and for the next 0 to 3 days before arrival, if occupancy falls below 70%, we're going to reduce our rates by $10. And we're going to do this every day of the week. If occupancy is over 90%, we're going to increase our rate by $10. So we can select the range when we adjust our rate. So we could do 0 to 3 days, or we could do 0 to 2 days. Depending on the pattern, how your motel picks up bookings, we would adjust these days and the ranges where we're increasing or decreasing your room rate. And we've got different options, so we can do it over multiple stages. So 0 to 2 days, if occupancy is over 90%, we might increase the rate. But if we're 3 to 14 days out and we're already at 80%, we might increase by $5. We might know that if occupancy is over 70%, 15 to 30 days out, we always sell out, and we can confidently increase our rate by $30. One thing to make note of with the Revenue Maximizer is the occupancy, when it reaches a certain amount, will increase the rate or decrease the rate based on what you set. If it's a really quiet period and you take a large group booking and that takes you up over the 80%, your rate will increase. But it's not necessarily reflecting that demand in the area is high. You may still not sell out, and you may not pick up any more bookings because there may not be any demand in the area apart from that group. So you've just got to manage your expectations when it comes to group pickup. We're now back on our dynamic rates page. And we've got an option in front of us, CTD and CTA. CTD means closed to departure. It means that a guest can't book a stay departing on that date. And closed to arrival, it means a guest can't book a reservation checking in on a set date. So for example, we've got the midweek special, and it's a bit cheaper than the other rate. If we have a motel that on Tuesday, Wednesday, we're nearly always sold out, we might restrict this midweek special. We might say you can't depart on Tuesday, Wednesday. You can check in on Monday, but you'd have to check out on Thursday. Or if you check in on Tuesday, you'd have to check out on Thursday as well. Or if you stayed on Wednesday, you'd still have to check out on Thursday, but you can't stay for both of those peak days unless you add on the Thursday or the Friday. This can also be used to really control your room inventory. If you've got good demand, you can manage your arrivals and departures so that it's efficient for your staffing. And the last functionality is we want to avoid fragmented demand. So we might have a busy event period and we don't want all of our guests coming in on different times and days. So we might say arrival for this event is on the Friday or the Saturday. We're not accepting any arrivals on the Sunday. This means that we can get all of the guests in-house when we want to. We can control it. When there's a lot of demand, you can be a bit more restrictive with your reservations that you accept. Let's look through a few scenarios. Let's imagine that we've got a really busy long weekend coming up. Friday the 24th, 25th and 26th of October. We're nearly sold out, but Friday has a fair few rooms left compared to Saturday and Sunday night. We really don't want Saturday and Sunday night to sell out before Friday. We feel like a lot of people are looking for the longer stay, and if we sell all of our rooms, we might not be able to sell out Friday night. So to ensure that we don't pre-sell Saturday and Sunday night, we can put a close to arrival on Saturday and Sunday. This means that people can still book Saturday and Sunday night, but they would need to also be staying Friday or Thursday, or even earlier on the Wednesday or the Tuesday, for example. So it means that we can ensure we're maximizing the occupancy at our property. The next scenario we're going to look at, we've got a really busy wine festival on. Friday, Saturday and Sunday again, but this time we want to avoid people checking out on the Saturday morning. We want everyone to push through and check out on the Sunday. We can do this by putting a close to departure on the 25th of October. What this means is that all of the guests staying for the event will be pushed to check out on that following day. Because the event is for 3 days anyway, it means that they will stay the last night of the event, rather than checking out and going home after the event. And we can do this by putting a close to departure on the Saturday, the 25th of October again. Working in a similar way to the close to arrival, it just helps us to control the bookings that we take. This is especially important and effective when we've got a lot of demand. We can be a bit more selective, and by being selective, it will help us drive higher occupancy, and it will also reduce our pressure on housekeeping and on the cost of turning rooms over. There's so much power in this back section with dynamic rates. We've really got the opportunity to influence profitability at our motel. With smart selection of close to departure and close to arrival, we can really generate more occupancy, reduce housekeeping costs. Looking at our Revenue Maximizer tab, we can set and forget rules that will drive higher profitability. We need to always reevaluate how the Revenue Maximizer is working. Is it putting the rate up on dates where we don't want it to? Or is it reducing rates on days where we think we're going to sell out? The minimum night stay section is a great tool to help build out the average length of stay at your motel, and in doing so reducing the pressure and cost for your housekeeping staff. This is a really introductory look. We're going to go through minimum night stays and revenue management tools further as we go through the GuestPoint property management system. Thank you for taking the time to watch the video. If you've got any questions about CTD, CTA, minimum night stay, or the revenue maximizer, drop a note in the comment section and we'll get back to you.